Hello, and welcome back to episode 3 of Draw and Cook. Today, our piece that I made is called Neon Needs, and we're going to be making homemade chocolate chip whoopie pies and some cream. So, as you can see here in the art piece that I'm making today, I already filled in her skin tone and everything. I really wanted to try to do deeper skin tones because I really think that's important to do, and I have to say I quite enjoyed that. But before we talk more about the art piece, let's get to baking. So first we're gonna get a stick of butter. Mine was in the fridge, so I just put it in the microwave a little bit because I want it to be soft but not to the point where it's completely liquid. So that's why you kind of see it partially liquid, partially not. Now we're going to add 1 cup of sugar. Now you could use white sugar, whatever you want, but I wanted to use some light brown sugar. So now we're just gonna dump that in there. Now you're gonna have to whisk it for a little bit, and you're definitely gonna have to tap off some of the mixture so it doesn't get stuck in the whisk. But you know what? I never really thought it was really that important to whisk your butter and sugar. I would be like, whatever, and just put it in together and just mix everything. But you know what? I kind of see the benefit now from how they came out. Why it's honestly kind of really good to whisk the butter and the sugar. So now you see me a little bit fast forward, and I've been whisking it for maybe 2 or 3 minutes. So you see like it's nice and airy, and it looks like nice and smooth. Now I'm just going to tap off the parts that are remaining on the whisk. And now I'm going to add some vanilla. Definitely think that's quite important to put in there. I'm going to put in about a teaspoon. And I'm also going to put 1 egg in there as well. So we're just going to crack that egg. We're going to add that vanilla. Yeah, I decided to add a little bit more vanilla. It's more like a teaspoon and a half actually. So you can pretty much go between a teaspoon to a teaspoon and a half. Really your preference. And now we're just going to whisk everything together, make sure it's all fully incorporated. And now I'm adding some whipping cream. Now you could just add just regular milk or skim milk, whatever you want, but since I was already going to use the whipping cream, I decided to put that in there as well. So I used about 1/4 a cup of the whipping cream into the mixture. And now we're just going to whisk that to make sure everything is once again fully incorporated. Now we're going to add 2 cups of flour, but I'm going to do 1 cup at first. And with that, you're going to put a teaspoon of salt and baking soda. And now we're just going to whisk the salt, the baking soda, and the first cup of flour. And as you can see, at some point, I really couldn't use the whisk anymore. It's a little too thick, so I just used a wooden spoon. And now you can see I'm able to fully mix everything. Now we're adding the last cup of flour. And we're going to stir that in too. And now we're going to add the half a cup to a cup of dark chocolate chips. Now you could use milk chocolate, you could use white chocolate, really whatever you want, it's up to you. But for me, I prefer the taste of dark chocolate. And like I said earlier, you could put a cup or half a cup. It really depends on how much you want in there. But I didn't want to put too much for my personal preference. And now once again, we're gonna make sure everything is mixed in together. Oh, and by the way, I was also trying out different angles for my cooking, so hopefully you guys like this angle. I definitely honestly prefer it. And oh, as you can see, I added a little bit more chocolate, so now I think it's closer to about a cup of chocolate. So after everything is fully incorporated, I then made sure I molded them into, little balls, and I made quite a bit. And once you put that on a grease pan or you put it on parchment paper, whatever you prefer, you're going to put it in a preheated oven of 350 degrees. So now we're going to head back to my drawing, and I just wanted to really go over the reason why I even made this. So there's a reason why I called it Neon Needs, and it's more than the fact that some of the colors within my drawing are neon. It's more because it's about self-expression. I personally believe, people want to stand out in some way. Not necessarily because they want everyone just constantly looking at them or anything like that. More so because it reminds us, who we are. It reminds us what we like and how we want to look and feel while, we traverse through this world. But now back to the actual drawing instead of, why I made it. And I know y'all noticed that there was, in the beginning, some hands. As you can see, I just didn't feel like doing it. So I just covered that up, and it's gonna be wearing a nice little top. Kind of a little reminiscent of, the weather, since we're eventually heading into summer. So I gave her a nice little breathable top. And I have to say, I feel like even in this short amount of time, I am improving. Especially with the mixing of the skin tones with the shading and the highlighting. I feel like I'm starting to get better. As of course, there's always room for improvement, which there definitely is, but I'm definitely liking what I'm seeing myself being capable of. Like I did her eyebrows, I was trying to make sure, it had the actual eyebrow look instead of just coloring it in one color. And now I'm just coloring in the whites of her eyes. And now the last thing I'm gonna do is picking the color for the background. And definitely something I am gonna start doing in my future art pieces is making a detailed background. Because I'm honestly more interested in just making a detailed foreground, but the background is important too. And that's the piece Neon Needs. So as you can see here, I'm finishing placing all of the dough in there. And you're gonna leave it in there for about 16 to 18 minutes. Definitely make sure you check up on them to make sure they're not overcooked. And now we're gonna go on to the cream, because I know I could have probably gotten like some Cool Whip or gotten some pre-made whipped cream, but I really wanted to make my own cream. And on top of that, I wanted to see how long it would take me to whisk it. And oh my goodness, that was definitely a arm workout for sure. So we're gonna put in a cup of heavy whipping cream. Make sure you get all of that cream as much as you can into the container. And now we're gonna add some vanilla. We're going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And now we're going to add 2 teaspoons of the light brown sugar. And now we're gonna start whisking. So even though I did speed up some of the footage for here, I really didn't want to delete any of it. So you're just gonna watch me just whisk and whisk and whisk. And I know that may sound quite tedious because it kind of is, but I have to say it was kind of nice doing it by hand. Like I wouldn't mind doing that by hand again. Granted, if I was making a huge batch, I definitely wouldn't do that by hand because that would take forever. But since I'm not, this is good as is. But I would say I was whisking probably for a good 5 minutes. Like the fact you're able to see the transition, or more so progression, of the texture of the cream. And as you can see, I was taking some breaks here and there. Yeah, I can't do much with my left hand, so I just switch right back to the right. It's funny, at one point, I kind of felt like I was ambidextrous, but that was more so for writing. So that was also when I was younger. You know how when you were younger, like a teenager or even a preteen, you were just trying some random stuff out just to see if you could. Like, it didn't necessarily benefit you, but it also didn't make things worse for you either. So you're like, let me try. Yeah. But I'm rambling a little bit. But yeah, but as you can see, the texture is getting thicker and thicker. You see it becoming more and more like whipped cream. And by this point, we're getting closer and closer to getting those peaks. And as you can see now, we're definitely very close. And now you can see that we're done. That's definitely whipped cream. And now, so now we're going to assemble the whoopie pie. So I took one of the cooled pieces of the whoopie pie, put it in my bowl, and I'm adding a generous amount of the whipped cream. I want it to look really nice and appetizing. Now we're gonna put the second whoopie pie on top, and we're gonna make a couple more of those to take some pictures and to make for my thumbnail. And I just wanted to say thank you guys once again for watching my videos. And I really appreciate that. I would love to get some likes, some comments, some shares. And definitely check out my links like my Instagram. You can see some of my other work there that I haven't put into video format, as well as seeing my store if you see something that you like. And I hope you guys have a great day, and definitely check out my other 2 videos. Be highly appreciated. Later.